Good day, here are today's top stories from the Pna Headlines. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has signed into law a measure that will provide non-traditional schooling methods for working professionals to earn college degrees. Marcos signed on Monday Republic Act 12124, or the Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETF Act. Under the new law, qualified professionals may avail of undergraduate level and special graduate programs related to their degree of learning and work experience. The Commission on Higher Education will deputize higher education institutions with degrees to be open for the ETF and develop standards for assessing skills, values, knowledge, and levels of competence. Applicants must be at least 23 years old and qualified to enter college by providing proof of completion of a secondary high school program. They must also have at least 5 years in aggregate work experience in the industry related to academic degree program or discipline that they are applying for. Inflation eased to 2.1% in February this year from 2.9% in January. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed that last month's inflation was also lower than the 3.4% rate in February 2024. The PSA said the inflation rate dropped mainly due to the easing of the rate of price increase of food and non-alcoholic beverages, which contributed 58.8% to the overall inflation. PSA Assistant Secretary Divina Gracia Del Prado also said the food security emergency declared by the Department of Agriculture to bring down the cost of rice has been effective in taming inflation. NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan meanwhile said the government vows to sustain efforts to keep inflation low and manageable to protect the purchasing power of Filipinos. Balisacan noted that the country is expecting 6 to 13 typhoons from March to August 2025. In response, he cited the DA's La Nina Action Plan to restore productive capacity in areas prone to continuous rainfall, flooding, and landslides. The DA is also accelerating its measures to address African swine fever, while the Department of Science and Technology is funding animal disease testing and vaccine research. For its part, Malacanang assured that the government will double its efforts to ease inflation. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said NEDA has noted that the continued decline in the inflation rate shows that the government's measures against inflationary pressures are working. The Department of Education has started implementing measures to safeguard the health and well-being of students and personnel as parts of the country experience intense heat. According to the DepEd, adjusting class schedules to early morning or late afternoon is one of the steps. Education Secretary Sani Angara said morning classes in some areas have been moved in a 6 to 10 a.m. shift, while afternoon classes would be from 2 to 6 p.m. Remote or asynchronous classes would be scheduled from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Angara also said schools may switch to remote learning if the heat index reaches 42 degrees Celsius or higher. He said the DepEd will meantime ensure the online learning resources and self-learning modules would be available. Angara also reminded schools to limit outdoor activities and use covered areas if necessary. School medical personnel will meanwhile monitor for heat-related illnesses such as cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. The Commission on Higher Education and the Professional Regulation Commission moved to ensure quality assurance among licensure programs of higher education institutions in the country. This came after the SHED signed a joint circular with the PRC on Wednesday. SHED Chairperson J. Prospero de Vera III said this is a historical legacy of the administration under the leadership of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. He said the joint circular will serve as a mechanism to ensure strict enforcement and compliance among HEIs. De Vera added that this will help the state universities and colleges, as well as the local universities and colleges, to address challenges in quality education, including the lack of qualified teachers and equipment. He also noted that SUCs and LUCs must secure their certificate of program compliance by September, otherwise face elimination of certain programs. For its part, the PRC also vowed to support the implementation of the mechanism effectively.
Quality assurance does not end with opening degree programs. It also includes closing degree programs that are not good. That is part of quality assurance. So we expect them to have quality assurance in place. If they cannot meet it, we expect the board to act on it and phase out the program kung hindi maka-comply.
In our business news, prices of power in the wholesale electricity spot market, or WESM, dropped in February due to the increased supply in the system. Data from the Independent Electricity Market Operator of the Philippines show that the average system price declined by 7.8% to 2 pesos and 73 centavos per kilowatt hour from 2 pesos and 96 centavos per kilowatt hour in January. This as last month's supply increased to 20,512 megawatts from 20,110 megawatts, while demand increased to 12,904 megawatts from 12,529 megawatts. IEMOP also said coal remains the largest contributor to the generation mix at 55.8%, while natural gas is at 70%. Solar energy's share in generation grew to 4.1%. Meanwhile, Malacanang announced that the price of rice could be lowered to 45 pesos per kilogram by the end of March. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said that according to Agriculture Secretary Francisco Laurel Jr., the average price of rice could drop from the current 49 pesos per kilogram to 45 pesos by March 31. The decrease was because of the drop in the world prices. Castro also said Laurel announced that a maximum suggested retail price for pork could be set by March 10, with the price of Casim and Pige going to 350 to 360 pesos per kilogram and liempo at 380 pesos per kilo. In other news, SteelAsia, the country's largest steel maker, announced it has installed solar panels in its plant in Bulacan. SteelAsia has partnered with Total Energies Ineos to commission 1.9 megawatt peak of solar power in its steel facility in May Kawayan City. The system will generate approximately 2,700 megawatt hours of renewable electricity annually. SteelAsia said this is part of its initiatives to integrate renewable energy in its operations. SteelAsia's manufacturing facilities in Calanga, Batangas, and Cobacela, Cebu are using geothermal power. And that's the latest and the biggest stories on the Pna Headlines. For more news updates, visit our website pna.gov.ph or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. The Pna Headlines is also streamed by the SteelAsia Facebook page. You may also watch the Pna Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account and via the News and Information Bureau website under the Pna News. I am Stephanie Civiliano. This is the Pna Headlines, bringing stories to unite the nation.